Get some of our election chains
We
out.
could get an election chain for him, couldn't we?
Okay.
James firing up. Good morning. Welcome to Marshall County Board of Supervisors regular session today, Wednesday, January 3rd, 2024 at 9 a.m. Courthouse first floor meeting room, here 1 East Main Street, Marshalltown. Notice to the public, the Board of Supervisors welcomes comments from the public during the time allowed for discussion. You're requested to approach the podium and use a microphone, state your name and address for the record, and limit the time used to present your remarks in order for others that may be given an opportunity to speak. The normal process on any agenda item is for the chair to read the item from the agenda. The board is given an opportunity to comment on the issue and or place a motion on the floor. An opportunity for discussion may be presented, at which time the public may participate, and a roll call vote will follow. Let us begin with roll call, please.
Heil,
Here.
Solosik,
Yes.
Hibbs,
Here.
And let us please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, do we have a motion to approve today's agenda?
I'd make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Heil,
Yes.
Solosik,
Yes.
Hibbs,
Yes.
On to today's consent agenda. Approve claims as audited and authorize the auditor and recorder to issue payment of the same. The listing of the claims paid at this meeting and all claims paid in the current month will be published as part of the first meeting of the following month. Personal changes. Approve new hire, Marshall County Public Health Director Sydney Gruel. Full-time Public Health Director, $68,000 annual salary to start on or after January 4th, 2024. 5C, file manure management plans, Flint Fisher Farm, 71020, 120th Street, St. Anthony, signed with changes. Pickard Brothers Incorporated, 57598, 1777, 300th Street, Melbourne, signed with no changes. And that is the end of today's consent agenda.
Dr. Lyons is here if you'd like to make any remarks about your hire for Board of Health.
Right up here to the,
Yeah. If you
Microphone.
wanna- Yeah,
there's a microphone right at the podium there,
yeah, yeah.
Yes, Marshall County Board of Health, very happy to announce Sydney Gruel has accepted our offer of employment. We had some very excellent applicants. Sydney is a Marshalltown native, has a bachelor's and a master's degree in biology from Iowa State, and has been working at the Veterans Home and most recently at Unity Point. So we're very excited to welcome her.
Thank you for your work on that.
Thank you, Dr. Lyons.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
All right, we have the motion and the second. Any further discussion? Thank you again for your help on that hire and information provided and your work on that. We appreciate that. So, and we welcome Sydney aboard. Hearing no further discussion, roll call vote, please.
Heil,
Yes.
Solosik,
Yes.
Hibbs,
Yes.
All right, number 6, report from the County Library Services, Mara Edler. Good morning, welcome, and thank you for being here today.
Thank you. This is lovely. Never had such a beautiful podium, and I have to figure out how to use it here. So, my name is Mara Edler, and I am the director of the Goedekunst Public Library in State Center. I'm here today on behalf of the Marshall County Librarians. We want to thank you for your continued support of our efforts in the county and update you with some highlights of the past year. So to that end, I have a little infographic. Can I approach?
Yes.
Got a little infographic that I prepared for you. Canva changed everyone's world.
Thank you.
It has some statistics that are from the State Library of Iowa's most recent annual survey. As you can see, the libraries in Marshalltown, State Center, Melbourne, LeGrand, Albion and Gilman are very busy connecting county residents to one another and to the world. County residents borrowed 267,973 items in fiscal year '23, and librarians answered 6,909 reference questions, ranging on topics from local genealogy searches to inquiries about the war in Gaza. To assist with those questions, the libraries offer and employ reference resources like Credo, which is an online reference search engine. It's an extraordinary resource for us. Transparent language and online learning resources with lessons in over 100 different world languages. And the People's Law Library, an extraordinary new resource provided by the State Library of Iowa that connects patrons to information about Iowa's laws on topics like family law, landlord and tenant law, and consumer law. In addition, all of the county libraries offer BrainFuse, a service that offers job-seeking and veteran resources, as well as homework help for students in grades K through 12, providing online daily access to live tutoring assistance. It's an amazing, unbelievable resource. Marshall County libraries play a key role in connecting residents through technology. Public access computers were used 15,857 times to connect people to the internet for job searching, resource, and recreation. In an increasingly technical age, county residents downloaded a total of 36,225 audio and ebooks from the statewide Bridges Digital Library. Librarians loaned hotspots, assisted seniors with technology, and taught classes to help bridge the digital divide. You will see that 129,516 people walked through library doors all over the county. 28,337 of them attended 1,873 different programs on topics as diverse as ESL language circles to Parkinson's education and dementia support groups. Because of our libraries, Marshall County residents had the opportunity to meet famous authors like William Kent Kruger, learn how to raise honeybees, encourage literacy through story times and small talk early childhood classes, attend magic shows, learn about Hispanic, Indigenous, and Jewish cultures, create art, exercise with senior citizens, develop computer code, and prepare Ukrainian food. Our libraries have the unique opportunity of providing programming for all patrons, from newborns through senior citizens. That is something that is unusual about librarians that is not true across the board. We serve an incredibly diverse population. They serve as a means of connecting Marshall County residents to one another and to the world at large. Marshall County libraries cannot do this without your generous support. County residents rely on us to learn, play, and stay connected. As you are aware, most of the county libraries have been deeply affected by the property tax cuts and the loss of the library levy. These cuts will affect service hours, staffing, and program and collection offerings. Please know that we are extremely grateful for the increase in funding that we received this year. After 20-plus years at $69,442, we were very pleased to increase to $71,820, a funding rate of $10 per capita for reimbursement for service to Marshall County's rural patrons. As a side note, this increase allowed county libraries to meet the minimum standard for county funding in the state library's accreditation process for the very first time. Again, thank you very much for that. However, please know that in the face of ever-increasing expenses and reduced funding streams, we respectfully request that the board consider an increase in funding to help us continue to make these critical connections in Marshall County. Across the county, the average price per checkout is $5.40. Rural residents checked out 24,517 items in fiscal year '23. Using the price per checkout, the cost for service to rural patrons was $132,391.80. Please help us to close this gap so that we can continue to provide premier service to Marshall County. And thank you for all that you do. You guys do the hard thing. Thank you for all that you do for us and for Marshall County residents. You guys have any questions?
Could you give that number again?
Which one do you want?
132.
$132,391.80. $391.80.
Where does the $5.40 come from?
So we take all of our operating expenses, and then, and so we have the average, so from Albion to Marshalltown. And then we divide it we break it down per what our total circulation was for all of the circs throughout the, across the county. And then to determine the 540, and then we take that times, however, we break down according to, so like I can tell if I've served a rural patron versus a resident of State Center, so then we apply it to the rural circulation that we had for that year.
Do you receive funding from the city of State Center as well?
So all libraries, or all cities in the state are required by law to provide funding. And so State Center, we are in a unique position because of the Gudikins Trust. But they are required by law to provide 6 3/4 cents per $1,000 valuation. And so they are meeting that guidelines. Otherwise, we would cease to be a public library, which even with the trust, we would lose a lot of services. And so they do that. They pay all of our insurance. And so they are meeting the minimum requirement. Yeah.
So is there a special levy then in State Center, or is that just part of the
No,
city's budget?
we don't have, in fact, all of the, Albion, I believe that Albion and Marshalltown were the two that had the
The
library
levy
levy.
that's affected by the change?
Yeah, we've heard all about the Marshalltown Library one, that's been in the media a
Yeah.
lot, but I hadn't
Yep.
heard if we had any of the other county ones, so it's just Albion is the other one.
I think Melbourne doesn't have it. I don't believe that LeGrand has it either. I think it's just Albion and Marshalltown. Yeah, so I can't stand here and deny, we are grateful for and recognize that Gudikins is in an extremely unusual position. And we're grateful for it because, the slack is gonna have to be picked up somewhere. So we're grateful for that. Yeah, any other questions?
Well, thank you for your report today. We
Yes,
appreciate all
thank
the
you.
information.
We
and,
love what we do. Please know that what librarians are doing is a labor of love, and we're grateful for all that you do.
Absolutely, thank you very much. All right, any other further discussion on the library services? All right, on to number 7. Marshall County Actuarial Services, discussion possible action to approve an update to the Actuarial Services Agreement by and between Silverstone Group Incorporated and Marshall County, continuing through December 31st, 2026 for compliance with government accounting standards. GASB Statement 75.
Do you want to hear about this? This is a requirement for us to stay compliant, and this is the actuarial service we've used for some time to meet the GASB 75.
Was there
It's exciting and riveting stuff.
Was there any increases in those fees?
I think they went up just a bit, but not much.
No, it wasn't a terrible amount.
No,
I'd seen what the fees are with them, but I was
Right.
just curious if there was an increase.
Yes, and I don't know, I don't think so.
Okay.
And it didn't look like anything big to me. It didn't raise any hairs on me. And I'm just seeing if, Al's not answering, yeah.
What's that?
Did you need something?
No, I was just wondering if you had any other questions on this.
No, I don't.
No.
Awesome.
I'll make a motion that we approve an update to the actuarial service agreement by and between Silverstone Group Incorporated and Marshall County, continuing through December 31st, 2026.
I'll second.
All right, we have the motion in a second. Do we have any further discussion?
Do all three need to sign? I'm going to check and see if we have all three to sign, or if we need to add the chair to sign only to that agreement. Can
I
we,
have 2 of them printed there.
can we add and have the chair to sign, because we have just space for one signature?
And have the chair to sign.
Thank you.
And I'll still second it.
Thanks, Steve.
Yeah.
All right, we have the motion and the second. We have the chair signing. I think we're ready for roll call vote, please.
Heil,
Yes,
Solosik,
Yes.
Hibbs,
Yes.
my pen's ready. All right, number 8A, Marshall County Sheriff's Office and Jail Complex Design Upgrades, discussion possible action. This is on the table. Do we have a motion to remove this item from the table?
I think we'll still continue this on the table yet. Is that, or would you like to take it, remove it from the table and drop it at this time?
I would be okay with pulling it off the table and then not taking action at this time while we continue to gather information about the future
Okay.
for that.
I'll make a motion then to remove this item from the table for discussion and possible action.
I'll second that.
All right, the motion and the second. Roll call vote, please.
Heil,
Yes.
Hibbs,
Yes?
Solosik.
Yes.
Okay.
So now it's off the table.
Now
We can
it's off
talk
the
about
table.
Now you can,
it. We can talk whatever we want about it.
Say whatever we like.
Yeah, I think my point in just removing it from the table is that we are continuing to work it to gather information about next steps for that and know that there's a need to move forward with that. So I think we'll just continue to gather information and plan to move forward with next steps for that.
I think we need to research maybe the bond, what's going to be required for a bond. And yes, I agree.
Yeah, I would say that I would not want to move forward in this agreement of $847,000 until after a bond vote or until advised otherwise that this is important to do prior. But at this point in time, I don't see that this is anything we do until after we've secured the funds by the voters to receive those funds to then pay these funds. There might be some, as we go through the process, find that there is some upfront costs that we need to do. But at this point in time, I'm not seeing them. So I'm good with removing it from the table as well and bringing it up at any given time that we need to discuss this further.
Okay.
I'm of the opinion that we do need to address the issues with the facilities, and so I think we need to identify our next steps with that and then move forward.
I agree.
All right.
so we
So
will
do we need a
cross
motion?
B off for, we won't do B
Right.
at this time, so, just for Sarah's benefit.
All right.
That covers that issue then.
The issu's not done, but it's not,
Huh,
it's
no,
not
no, it's not
reoccurring,
done.
it's not reoccurring on the agenda, but it's not done, that's for sure. All right, 8B, additional buildings and grounds employee discussion possible action. Is there a motion to remove this item from the table for discussion and possible action?
I would like to remove this
Okay.
item from the table.
All right, we have the motion.
Make a motion.
I'll second that.
We have the motion and the second. Roll call vote, please.
Heil,
Yes.
Hibbs,
Yes?
Solosik.
Yes.
Item is now removed from the table for discussion.
We are in the midst of budget right now, and I guess I would like to take care of this within the budget discussions that we're going to have here within the next week, I believe, week and a half. So,
His is next Thursday.
Next
Building and
Thursday.
ground is next Thursday.
so let us maybe make some decisions at that time.
In
I
which,
agree.
in which we can do a budget amendment for the current year
Yes, we
if
can.
necessary to
Yes,
do
we
this
can.
now.
Yep.
Okay.
I agree.
All right.
The B can be crossed. Same.
All right. That said, no action on this item. It is removed from the table and to be discussed at budget meetings. All right, on to number 9, public forum time set aside for the public to make comments on topics of county business other than those listed on the agenda. No action will be taken on any of these topics brought up in public forum. Yeah, absolutely. Come on up.
My name's Mark Wyant. I live at 2601 Ridge Road. When I saw you guys last time, it's like a few weeks after a stroke, and some of that stuff is still kind of residual, okay? So if I stop or,
No.
my
No
memory
worries.
sucks right
Don't,
now, I guess.
don't
is the best way
apologize.
to
No
say it.
worries,
Stop.
Mark.
Stop it.
The photographs I put up, or that you have up there for me, please, is, there's a property, love a Mike, I swear it was like 2706, but my brain is leaving me, and I tried to take a picture of it in that number 8 picture of the number 8 one is, yeah, unless your eyes see it, that stinks. Anyway, I can tell you how I got there, okay? I live at 26th and Ridge, 260th and Ridge. And if you're traveling east on 260th, you know, coming back towards, working my way back towards town, the road wraps around and then continues to be 260th till it makes another gravel entrance, the first gravel entrance on the road. And this place has the first part, the first 1, 2, 3, 1 through, I think it's 8, is the properties, you're looking at it from the road, it's getting continually worse to where the guy has storage tubs out in the yard for all the garbage, and the windows of his house are blocked up with tubs and garbage, or not, maybe it's not garbage to him, but it's this keeping stuff, okay? And old cars are being stored, more and more of them, out into the property. There's one house between him and the house that you see in 9, 8, 9, 10, and 11. And it's, that house went up for sale earlier this year because it belonged to an older woman who had gone to a nursing home. And it went up for sale for like 15 minutes. I mean, as soon as the sign got put in the yard, I got with a guy up the street from me who owns property that was, maybe that'd be something he'd look at. And we were calling about it, and it was gone and sold, I'm assuming, to this guy at the first set of pictures, because it's already stuffed full of garbage inside the house, and spare cars are getting put out in the yard and stuff like that again. At 66 years old, I'm entering that spot where I plan on retiring soon, you know, and that house is part of my retirement that I purchased and live in. And anything that draws that value down is gonna be bad for me especially, I know, because I'm not gonna live there forever. It's gonna be sold as we move to something that fits the two of us, you know, instead of us and kids. And this is not helping that, the condition of that down the road. I'm pretty sure, but you know, God love it, I should have done some more homework to understand what the rules are for if you're gonna have a junkyard in town. I believe from back in Sioux City, if something had to be in a certain area, and if it was out of town and in the county, you had to have barriers, like walls, so people weren't seeing everything that was being put out there. But I don't know, I'm talking too much. You can see by what's on there.
James, are you able to blow up maybe 3 and 4? Or?
The pictures.
So
Yeah.
is this owner occupied? Like this is the person who owns it? is
I'm
doing
assuming
this?
so. I mean, I'm assuming so. When I go by, sometimes there's a little red car, or you just see it was there today in one of the pictures, this other car with that's not there all the time, but it was there today, and it's the one that is always, that's the only one that's ever there. And I've seen people go in and out of it like there's somebody still living in there. I mean, maybe it's a recluse person that has an issue with, I don't know. All I know is that it's starting to turn the area into a junkyard. And I don't, if that's a social help issue that the person needs, or, you know, to get them going with it, or, and that's the one that's the house that they just bought. That I'm assuming it's them that bought, cause it's got stuff piled up in the windows already, and you hit it from the, as you're coming around the corner and looking at it. It's even more buildup inside there. And, looks like a car that's not being used or drivable,
So
sitting in front of
I
the
want to make
garage.
sure I understand two different properties then?
Yeah, it looks, there's two of them. The first 1 through 8 is the one property. And then it's my assumption, because the place went so quick and the way it's being used is the same way as the place up at the, as the first property.
Are
they
they,
next
are
door?
they adjacent?
There's one house in between them.
Oh,
And that guy's got a nice house. I can't believe he's not griping about it, because that person, whoever lives there, really takes care of it. Is that on,
It's on the north-south section of 260th, so where it makes that bend,
Is it more like this direction here?
north.
I think
So
you
it's actually-
passed it.
You were right on it there, right in the middle. Right there. Down.
South.
There.
Now, can I walk up there and point at it?
sure.
Yeah.
This looks like the place, isn't it? You're coming up the ridge.
It's around the bend of your place, isn't it?
Is it that way or is it this one?
No, this is me.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're going up that way, right? There you
Yes.
go, there you go. And it's up in this area,
Oh,
this. And then there's this guy with a nice house, and there's the old woman's house over here that was just recently sold. And that's turning into the same thing. The satellite picture you're seeing now is nowhere near what it is now. It's more than that now. It's become so much more. The garage door's hanging off the hinges on that big outbuilding, and it's full of stuff. It's pouring out into the driveway.
I'm not sure what our rights are. What are we able to do as a county in a situation like this?
I'm gonna have to review our ordinances. I haven't, in the 1 year supervisor, I haven't had to deal with any of these yet. Did you?
I haven't
don't
either.
think you have. So we don't deal with those a lot. I'm gonna have to review our ordinances of what we have.
Does
That's fine. I just needed a place to start. I just need a place
Sure.
came here to be a place to start, and then I'd get information where, if I need to go somewhere else with it.
Yeah.
So Joel, do you have? Do you have information that you can share?
Not at this point. I'm not real familiar with the sale. We're just kind of researching the purchases. I believe there's by two different owners. When it comes down to property, it's not a criminal offense to be dirty, unless there's a county ordinance, and I'm not familiar with that. unfortunately. That might be a question, obviously, for our zoning commissioner, to see if there's some DNR violations with some abandoned vehicles, depending on what the makeup is. But as far as being dirty or cleanliness, there's no code section for that.
Nothing, yeah.
It's kind of subjective, obviously, to the owners, but I'm not really familiar with the owners in this area. We haven't had a lot of those calls, so I can do some more research and kind of see what and if there's anything that criminally or legally we could do, along with the county attorney, might be something to discuss with.
So we
And
would
it's
talk with
not my
Tavius about it?
intention, it's not my intention to get somebody in a world of grief over this, okay? But if there is any, I'd look at it like it's a social, I can't remember the word. It's like if somebody's needs help with something, you know, that there'd be some agency within the county or that could intercede a little bit. Cause it's not, I've never been around somebody with a plot of land that, I mean, I know there's some farming places where you keep your implements outside and, you know, you do what you do when you're on your farm, you know, with stuff but this is just,
Looks like a hoarding situation
it
here,
does,
doesn't
it
it?
does. And it really makes me wonder if it's the person that's needing it and not getting that help.
Mark, have you had any interaction with them?
I have not. And I'm a retired cop. I mean, I don't go up to people and start talking about their business right off of the street and have that be my only interaction with them, you know? And it's, I don't know. I don't know a good way other than having, I mean, if somebody makes contact with them on a formal level, that right, the word? If you look at it like from the county or the state or whoever addresses it, if they needed help, I mean, I'm more than willing to be one of the people that helps. I'd love that. But I don't want to start just banging on the guy's door saying, I've had neighbors like that in town where they'd come up and think that you had something sitting out and they didn't like it and they'd come rapping on your door when you told them to go away. You know, other than that, there was not much to the conversation. So, I don't know. I wish I had a better answer.
Well, thanks for bringing it to our attention. It's something we will probably look into to see if it's any type of public nuisance or any safety hazards out there for adjacent property owners. And then review our ordinances and any other, like you said, if there's any assistance that's needing for this individual that owns these properties.
Okay.
Visit with our zoning person too and see if there's anything that can be done on that side of it.
Okay. And can I bring up one other thing? Which is
Yes.
it's the reason I was gonna come here in the first place was not that. That was just that's been nicking at my craw, that's all, that piece has. The road out by our place needs some attention still, on 260th. They came out and worked the ditches over by, I don't know his address. I'm at the corner of 2601 Ridge, then directly across from me is a Harlan Algren that lives over there, you know, across from me to the west, not to the north of me. And the ditches were dug out over there, kinda, to make it work. And then the road was reworked, but as you go like right past even coming up to Harlan's, it's got that thing going again to where there's no using a ditch or a runoff. The road is formed as a channel. There's high sides on each side so that the water can't go down in the ditch. It's like maybe that much higher than the road itself, the ridge is now. And the last time we had good rain, you saw it start washing out again. It's even got washboard down at the corner of 260th and Ridge on that low corner, because that was gonna be an issue because when they had a semi drug through it and got stuck with a big wrecker, got stuck a few years ago, and they just pulled him out and left the corner torn up. And then when guys came out and fixed it and put the thing underneath the culvert, underneath the ground, underneath the road again, it came out that the west side of the intersection is probably, I want to say I shot that with a,
Transit?
you know, I have transit, there you go, thank you. This stuff sucks. Anyway, we shot it and it came out to be right at almost 2 feet, like 1.5 feet lower than the corner on the east side. And it's all washboarded out now to even help to help people lose traction as they're coming around that corner. and maybe, and make them work towards that weak side of the road, that lower side of the road. So I don't know if it's,
Do you have a plan? Do you have anything that you want to?
We're gonna have to come up with a way to make the drainage work. It's tough when we're looking on ditch area, ditch space there. It's an ugly grade. It's deep ditches and it's tight quarters. We may still have to buy some right away on the north side to get that drainage to work right.
you can have mine. You don't have to buy a squat.
Thank you.
You can come over
Thank you,
into the
Mark.
ditch and you can have it.
I'm not saying we're done by any means.
Okay. Is there any consideration of maybe putting concrete in that T intersection, or is that just
Just an
out of the
island of
question?
concrete
An island of
wouldn't
concrete.
make any sense.
Wouldn't make any sense, wouldn't fix anything. Okay.
Okay. As far as property goes, I think we talked before. I give a rip. I don't. As far as, the stuff I gotta go to anyway, if it comes up, or you guys come over into, the county comes over into it, that's okay. I gotta drive down this little hill to get to mow that side anyway, on either side of it. I don't care. It's unusable to me.
We can make something work there with, it's just gonna take some grading. It's likely gonna have some filter brought in.
I'm guessing
I mean,
too.
there's a way to make it work, and you can see by looking at that intersection that you're not incredibly close to any driveways, and occupied residences, so you can, it's just that it's a hole. Right where that tree is, I mean, it's just, you're down 10 feet.
Yeah, that's a bad drop. Okay, I'm done griping for the day. Are you guys?
Well, thanks for coming today,
Thanks,
Mark.
Mark.
We appreciate it. Any additional public forum this morning?
So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Wade Dooley. I live and farm just west of Albion. And I am the Taylor Township, one of the Taylor Township trustees. I am the chair of the Marshall County Soil Water Conservation District. And I also happen to be the chair of the Albion Library Board of Trustees. And I'm here to speak in support of more support from the county for our county libraries. As you well know, historically, Marshall County hasn't been super financially supportive of the libraries. In the past, years past, Marshall County tied with Decatur County for level of support for libraries within the state of Iowa, which means we were tied with the poorest county in Iowa for support, which is kind of embarrassing given the fact that we're not Decatur County. Those folks have specific restrictions and challenges that Marshall County doesn't have. And I'm glad for the increased support that has been provided recently, but we are in desperate need of more, because all of our libraries in the county don't have enough money to increase services that are needed in the county. We serve an awful lot of very different people with very different needs, and we do it with minimal staffing, minimal funding. And it's not exactly a volunteer job, but we've got a lot of volunteers doing jobs that paid staff are supposed to do, but we don't have the money for paid staff. And the cities give what they can, but as you well know, city budgets are strapped. They're tied up with infrastructure improvements that are desperately needed, as well as you guys have infrastructure improvements that are desperately needed. Everybody's got their budgets they're fighting over. But if you can find a few more slivers to throw towards libraries, it would do a lot, because libraries are already used to making do with very little. So a little more can go a long ways. Now you give us a lot more, we can do a lot more. But
Wade, what's been the level of funding from the city of Albion with the levy, and what's going to happen with that?
so the levy gets adapted over time. Based on needs of the city and the needs of the library. It was originally used to help build the library and maintain funding for it. At this point, I don't remember exactly what the levy amount was versus what the city was. It's our taxes. Right now, our library in Albion is funded about, well, it's funded less than 30% of its budget is from the city of Albion and the levy, which means almost 80% of our budget is brought in from other means. And that is very abnormal. For the state of Iowa, the average is 80% of library budgets are funded by the cities they're in, and 20% is funded by outside sources. So we are basically flipped. And that's due in part to the fact that we have a new, improved, upgraded library that has a higher cost of operation because we're doing more services. We have more staff time, we're open more hours than we ever had been in the old building. We have way more programming than we ever had before, which costs money. Programming isn't free, even though a lot of it is volunteer-based. So our unique financial situation is challenging come budget time, because we are running as a pseudo nonprofit, effectively. We're supposed to be a publicly funded entity. We're supposed to be funded by the state, the county, and the city. And instead, we are more funded by grants, donations, and the like, and then supplemented by the state, the county, and the city. And it's very frustrating. I understand the reasoning behind a lot of the budgetary decisions, but doesn't mean I have to like them. And other libraries in this county are not funded in that form, and so they depend even more on the state, the county, and the city. And so those really would be affected by any changes in taxes or in funding from the county. So we would appreciate additional support if possible. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. Any other public comment today?
Hi, Sarah Rosenblum, Marshalltown Public Library Director. I want to apologize for my tardiness. I had another meeting at City Hall. I just want to echo what Wade, and I know that my colleagues, I think probably most of you have heard of House File 718, that is going to hurt not just the city of Marshalltown and the city of Albany with our loss, but cities across the state. So if you have any contact with, especially your Republican colleagues, there is some talk about tweaking House File 718. You know, what I heard was we didn't mean to cripple libraries, but it's not just libraries. I mean, cities and counties. I don't know the impact on counties. Apologize. I know more of what's going to happen with cities, but it's going to be very hard on all of us. And so I do want to thank you for the increase. I mean, it is great. I've been here 12 years, and gosh, I think I'm the longest serving librarian now in the county. And we do, as Wade said, we serve all the libraries, or we're great partners. And also, we serve a lot of our surrounding neighbors who come to our libraries because we have good resources. They love programming at other libraries. And so we actually are economic drivers. Maybe people don't think that, but we do that. So but anything that you can do, and especially with 718, please get the word out that please, if we can get the legislature to look at it and see what adjustment can be made. And as Wade said, budgets are tight. I totally get it. I've been in public service for 40 years. It's a tough time.
Sarah, you're the one that divvies the money to the other.
Well, we do it as a group.
You do it as a group.
Yeah, and we have a formula, and maybe, you know, and it's an older formula. It was Carol Winkleblock, my predecessor, maybe Carol Hibbs knew her, and Shelley, who was at LeGrand for 30-plus years. But we do, you know, we try to be fair and equitable. It is, you know, but it does. I mean, every bit helps, but as Wade said, it's tough. And of course, everything's going up. Electricity's going up 10%, and, you know, and then with this loss of the library levies and the other levies like the MAC, which again serves county residents, and all the other things that are happening, it's just a tough time. But yeah.
If we were to double what we're doing now, would that percentage likely change that goes to the other libraries
Well,
in
I think we
county?
definitely would have a conversation about the formula and how we can best, because yes,
I think the Albion Library probably ends up with about $7,000.
yeah, right now there's a base and then the circulation, but certainly, and yes, of course, we are we are in the bigger part of the county, so we have more funding from the city for the time being. But yes, I mean, certainly we're always open to what is the best way to use the county money to serve all the county residents.
So if we were to double that, that would end up maybe $14,000 going to Albion, and LeGrand too. Is that a big help, or is that not a big deal?
I think that's a nice
$7,000
starting place,
would be-
yes.
Would be
dramatic.
Yes.
Could be dramatic.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and again, I apologize, but I know Mara had put together a good presentation, and, but if you have any other questions or anything ever, and I urge you to go see all your libraries. If you haven't been to your libraries, they're doing amazing things. And that yesterday I worked, it was crazy, and even just I helped a gentleman who needed to photocopy his boat insurance because he needed it to give to his boat, where the boat lived, and he was very lost at the copying machine, and it sounds silly, but he needed that information because he was under a lot of pressure, and he came to the library to get that help, so. Well, thank
Okay,
you.
thanks, sir.
Great, thank you.
An elder emergency management coordinator, and I with the libraries here, but I'm not talking about the libraries. The siren project, I just wanted to give a quick update. We did get the majority of the equipment in, so it's laid down at the secondary roads department, parking and a layout area there, so waiting on the poles. I think that's the last piece of outdoor equipment that we're waiting on. And maybe we'll get some things started yet this winter, since we don't have frost right now in the ground, so, or much anyway. So just waiting on the backbone part of it, which would be for the communications center and the sheriff's office, where we would activate, and the backup of the activation. So just wanted to give you an
Great.
update.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Kim.
Yep.
Any other public forum this morning? Anyone on Zoom? James? Perfect, thank you. All right, on to adjournment. The next regular session is Wednesday, January 17th at 9 a.m. here at the courthouse first floor meeting room, 1 East Main Street. All business to be acted upon at that session should be submitted to the county auditor and recorder's office or the board of supervisors office by Wednesday, January 10th, 2024 at noon. There being no further business to come before the board, the meeting is adjourned at 9:47 a.m. Happy New Year and make it a great day, everybody.